Howdy doody. So, this video is going to get loaded to YouTube because it has to go up. I'm hoping some of my friends will just share the link. It's important. So, I knew that the Black Lives Matter movement was going to be protesting today and coming through, and I planned on being part of it because I support it. I know that there's parts of the Black Lives Matter protest that, you have radicals that are acting outside of the movement, looting, robbing, destroying, etc. You know what I mean? But as a whole, in general, what I just witnessed, it's upsetting. I'm crushed. I'm crushed in so many ways. So, I forgot, as the day went on, I forgot that the march was coming through soon, and as soon as I hear the noise, I knew what it was, and I'm like, oh, shit. So I put my shoes on to go outside. I'm like, now, the plan was, I'm gonna preface this. The plan of the march was to march from, I forget where they started, but they were going to march down McDade and through Ridley Township parking lot out onto Kedron Ave, I suppose, right? Through Municipal parking lot, right? Because the whole concept of the Black Lives Matter movement is it's Black lives need to matter more to police. You know what I mean? I think people get that kind of confused. They need to matter more to everyone, but it's the inception was because of police brutality against black people. Okay? So marching through a municipal parking lot past a police station, of course, right? Now, this was all planned, it was all public, it was all known to where they were going to march, etc. And what I can tell you about where I live, and I guess I shouldn't be so hurt because I experienced it, I knew it, but just to see it fucks me up. So what I can tell you about where I live is I went to high school here, Ridley Township. When I went to high school, there was probably 6 black kids in high school, give or take. And wasn't...
Yo, Lena, chill out.
And there wasn't ever any problems, per se. I'm sure there was racial tension, like, between individuals. Like, you got a couple kids in school that, whatever. But it wasn't anything to the magnitude of what we see now. But if I go back further, when I was in elementary school, I lived in an all-white neighborhood. There was one black kid in my whole entire school and neighborhood, and he was mixed. And he got shit every day. And because I liked hip-hop at a time when everybody's listening to metal or whatever, Wigger, Nigger Lover, you name it. I heard it all. I've gotten into fights. So then we go in high school.
Lena, stop.
We go in high school, and it kind of like there's a little tiny bit of maturity, so, whatever. But I could still see it, I could still tell it was there. I could still tell that certain white kids had a problem with other white kids if they embraced people of color or, God forbid, that culture. And it bothered me. It always, Anyway, to add to the story, to get to present, give you an idea. Now, this is when I'm in high school. This is the end of the 90s, mid 90s through. I graduated in 96. It's a while ago. When I was in high school, we were out. I guess we were drinking underage, whatever, some shit, doing what dumbass teenage kids do. Got picked up, Ridley Township, and instead of taken to the police station, I got dropped off in Chester. Now, Chester, for those of you that don't know, Chester is a city in Pennsylvania, and it is a city that's probably the size of Center City, Philadelphia. It's not big, but it is one of the most hardest, gulliest, dangerous places. It was the murder capital of the country for like 3 years running. Murder per capita. And it's predominantly black folks. Wasn't always like that. So I get dropped off in Chester out of high school. Now, my guess is that anyone else in that high school, any white kid that would have got dropped off in Chester at that time, probably would have been severely beaten or robbed or whatever. Well, luckily for me, my weird ass, I was born in Chester. 77. My grandmother lived in Sun Village. And I can remember when the National Guard, the first time, they did this twice now. I can remember when the National Guard came and put the Chester on lock from the east side and west side, gangbanging so hard, dropping 3 bodies a day. That's Chester. That's where this cop took me and dropped me off. Think about that. Think about that. Think about how much understanding of racial profiling and racial baiting and racial hate. Think about how much is involved on that. And like he took me to Chester, white kid. They know. You know what I mean? Now, the other thing I can tell you was when I was a kid, like I said, I was born in Chester. I had friends in Chester, Woodland, Yeadon, Darby. I've been friends with black people my whole life, probably since before I was able to talk. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But when I was in high school, my friends from those areas, I was like, yo, you trying to kick it, trying to hang out? Oh, Dane, we can't drive through Ridley. Like, black people literally would not drive through Ridley. So, after high school, I moved to the city, to Philadelphia. I lived there for like 18 years or some shit. And in those 18 years, after 18, I come back here, help my dad out, blah, 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 whatever. And what I noticed first was the integration in the school, in high school. Lots of people of all types of colors. And I'm like, good. And I also notice people in the neighborhood who live here and own houses of color. Good. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe Ridley's a little different. Nope. Nothing's changed. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because what I just saw, to experience what I just experienced, gives me a first-hand understanding of what all these people are facing in these protests, and I can't even imagine what it's like in Portland. I can't. I would get locked up. I would get locked up. Luckily here, it was small. The police were cool. I got it. Even though I know that the majority of that police force wasn't there to help Black Lives Matter, I know this. I know people on the police force. I know people who have kids on the police force. I'm 42. 20-some-year-old people, 30-year-old people on the police force. I know your fathers and uncles. So I know, because I've talked to these people, and, oh yeah, my son's telling me that all his friends on the police force, they're waiting for it. They can't wait for it to come. Yeah, I'm sure they are waiting for it. Can't wait for it. So, the protest was publicly known, right? Where it was going was publicly known. Time, all that stuff was publicly known. The Ridley Township Police Force made a statement to request that no one interfere with the march, right? Now, I didn't see this statement. I didn't see it, but in the protest, I heard it repeated like, I don't even know how many times. And the reason why it was repeated so many times was because Ridley Township Police did not come out and meet these people when they hit the municipal property. They didn't come out and meet them. They didn't come out to stop them. I don't think they had any intentions to do so. What did happen was a motorcycle club came out. Motorcycle club, and this is probably going to put my head on the chopping block, what I'm about to say. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't fear any mortal man. Sorry. Not scared of death. Not scared of an ass whooping. So, Stars and Stripes, Bars and Pipes, Motorcycle Club. And the fact that this club puts on the guise, the front, that there's some kind of club for the veterans who defended this country's freedom, yet they're the ones that show up to stand in line and stop a peaceful protest and march because it's about black people. Because there wasn't one person of color on that other side. Not even close. The fact that you could claim that you're the type of club that's for veterans and do some shit like that is appalling. It's appalling. And I'm not a military guy. I wouldn't serve. I don't do well with authority as is. I went to military school. I almost got kicked out twice. Probably the only kid in that whole school that went to a regimental board twice and didn't get kicked out. You go to regimental board once, you get kicked out. Anyway. I don't understand how a motorcycle club could have that type of front and do something like that. Because in the end, like, let's play the hypothetical and say that the motorcycle club doesn't show up. And the police don't come out and confront anybody. They just say, hey, you're permitted to march, do your thing. What happens? That movement marches through the parking lot, chanting whatever they chant. Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, No Lives Matter to All Lives Matter, whatever chant they want through the parking lot. They had a time ending. They said that the march was over. It was public, and they leave and they go on, and nothing happens. There was no looting. There was no rioting. Nothing, right? So why stop them? What's the big deal? By doing so, you exposed yourself in the most undeniable way possible. I saw people, and I knew it was going to happen. I saw people on the other side that I just looked at like, man, I will never speak to you again. Ever. Ever. And here's the crazy thing. There was 2 megaphones they had, the Black Lives Matter movement. And literally, as soon as the first gentleman started to speak, he got hit by a white gentleman on the other side and ripped the cord out of the megaphone. It was quickly broken up. But my point is that group was in Lansdowne, all through Delaware County, right? All through Delaware County. Nothing damaged, nothing stolen, no problems. Said what they had to say, no resistance, and kept it moving. When they got to Ridley Township, they were met with nothing but resistance. And the first chance they got to speak, they was met with a fist in the face. That's who brought the violence to the table. And what's really ironic, it's not ironic, I'll definitely retract it. What's really typical, but when I looked at it, it like melted my face, was that when I looked at that line of cowards, that's all they are to me. I don't care if all of you could kick my ass tomorrow, you'll still be cowards to me forever. When I looked at all the cowards on the other side, the amount of Trump hats, Trump flag, Trump t-shirts that I saw, so you got a motorcycle club for vets, that's for vets who defended the rights that we have in this country, stopping a group from exercising those rights because of their color. And most of the people on this side doing so, along with the motorcycle club, are Trump fans. It's crazy to me when I see people talk about, they try to talk about what's happening in Portland, like, oh, they shouldn't be doing this, and well, they went down there and they did, like they know, like, if you've never been there, if you don't know people there, like, then, and you're getting your information from mainstream media, you don't have a clue. You're being told a fairy tale as a fact. So it gets worse because the young man gets hit, young black man gets hit, megaphone breaks, he hits the older black guy back, boom, and that's it. It was a quick exchange. Then all of a sudden, cops are on scene everywhere. There was all of Ridley Township was there. I think Glen Oldham was there. Ridley Park was there. There was at least 20 cops there within, I'm not even going to say, I'll bet you 2 minutes or less. I feel like they were, sitting in their cars a block away, here, like all waiting. So they swarm in. They create the line. Now, when the police create the line, at first, when they create the line, they're facing the opposition. They're facing all these bikers and these Trump fans and these obviously racist people, because they know that if something's going to happen, it's going to come from there. So The protest goes on. Now it's a shouting match, and the bikers are getting on their bikes and revving their bikes real loud so you can't hear anything. The police let it go on for a while because, again, not all those cops are in favor of Black Lives Matter. And so many people on the other side, the hardcore Republican conservative side, I'm not liberal, I'm not a Democrat. Black Lives Matter is not even a political thing, but they make it political. So many of those people knew the cops by name, had Blue Lives Matter shirts on. Oh man, it's so depressing. So depressing when you see it in person. When you watch it, you're like, man, we're in so much trouble. I don't think people understand. Like, we're literally at the point where standing up with the Black Lives Matter group is necessary for your future, or be a complete slave, because that's where it's going. I think that these people can't separate politics and humanity and morality. You know what I mean? I think they believe that, well, I'm a Republican and I vote for Trump and I love cops. Politics, politics, politics. So because of all that, I'm protected from everything. I'm not getting abused. I'm not going to face any tyranny because I'm on the team. I think they believe that. And nothing could be further from the truth. So, partway through the rally, I see, now, for all of you that don't know, I'm not fond of cops. I haven't been fond of cops since the 90s. I'm going to put a pause on what I'm about to tell you. My first dose of don't trust and like cops was a Ridley Park cop. This was before I got sent to Chester. It was during like the 94, 95, whenever we had a big ice storm, school shut down. Me, two of my friends were standing outside of 7-Eleven. What we were doing is, because the road was frozen, we were bumper hitching. Not smart, dangerous. Grab the back of the bumper, the road's frozen, you get a free ride. Some people drive and don't mind. They're not doing 100 miles an hour because the road's frozen. Nobody got hurt. Again, not smart, dangerous, not legal. I would never deny that. But we're kids. We're stupid. Anyway, we would hitch and we would go stand at 7-Eleven, go into 7-Eleven, get a drink, whatever. We're bored. We're kids trying to find shit to do. There's no school. Well, here comes Ridley Park cop. Now we're standing outside of 7-Eleven. Okay? Approximately 20 plus feet away is the end of the 7-Eleven building where the dumpster is. Okay? This Ridley Park cop, who is a known hard ass. His whole family's cops, but he's the worst. Gets out of the car, asks us what we're doing. We said there's no school. We're trying to figure out what to do. I thought we were jammed for the car hop, and I thought he saw us. I figured we're getting locked up. And he goes, "Whose bottle is that over there?" There was an empty bottle of liquor, I don't even know what kind, under the dumpster. I'm like, locked us all up. Underage drinking. No breathalyzers, nothing. None of us ever got charged because it was obviously bullshit. And that was the moment I was like, I don't trust cops. Because they can do whatever they want. and they can. Proven. That's what all this is about. That's why people have had enough. Stop allowing the authoritarian regime to do whatever they want. Now, back to current time. So, for those of you that don't understand, I'm not fond of cops. Okay, I knew people that were cops. I don't talk to them anymore for various reasons. Not because you're a cop, but because you're just a shitty person. Anyway, in the safety line, I see a cop that I went to school with. I played soccer with. And still a decent guy. I saw him a couple times in a couple places. Still a decent guy. Chop it up, talk, whatever. So I'm like, I walk up to him. As soon as he sees me, he knew. He with the mask on. I had my mask on. He knew. And he's like, man, things got a little crazy. Now, that was I missed that statement when he said it to me. He said, oh, things got a little crazy there for a minute. You know what I mean? Meaning when the kid got punched, right? Because there was no other crazy moments at all. It de-escalated from that moment. A couple points where people get into a shouting match, whatever. But with that being said, if you saw the crazy part, that means you were here for when the kid got punched and you saw it. I didn't think about that when he said it. So I said, hey man, I'm just curious, how come that dude's not in cuffs over there? He said, what dude? I said, the dude that punched the kid. I said, he punched him in the face and broke the megaphone. He said, well, we didn't see it. We can't just arrest people for things we don't see. I was really puzzled because I had a lot of respect for this dude up until this point. I just kind of went along with it like, oh, okay. Because, truth be told, last year, I got arrested by Ridley Township. First time I think I've ever had anything go on my record in a very, 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 very long time. I got defiant trespassing. And basically, what happened was, I was walking my dogs through Planet Fitness parking lot, as I had done 100,000 times before, to the point that the manager of Planet Fitness, their trainers, they know the dogs by name. It's all good. Some new girl inside got gaslighted by a black kid that had beef with me and the dogs a month before. The manager put him in check, like, yo, it's cool, leave it alone. That was it. Well, he gaslighted this girl and got her to freak out. So when she saw me walk by with the dogs, I got a cocky look through the glass. I didn't say nothing. There was no exchange. I walked around. I went to the empty lot behind Wells Fargo, and we're chilling. Here comes the Ridley Township police officer. What's going on with the dogs? Blah, blah, blah. I said, I have no idea, sir. I said, well, you're not supposed to be over there with the I said, that's not true. I said, I was never told that. I said, I go there every day. Well, until I know otherwise, I said, all right, well, I'll have Planet Fitness contact you and sort that out. Told me not to go over there with the dogs. No problem. I went home, left my dogs home, didn't go over there with the dogs, went over by myself to talk to this girl. I said, hey, what's going on? What's the problem? She just gave me an attitude from the rip. Can I help you? I said, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. You were told. I said, no. She tried to tell me that I'm not allowed over with dogs. I'm like, no. I'm like, you don't. I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, you should talk to your manager. Anyway, it went nowhere. She called the cops. They came back. The cop listened to her story and listened to my story. And then I said, listen. I said, I don't know how serious it is to lie to a police officer. I said, but half of what you just said isn't true. I said, I've never been escorted off here by police. I've never been told I can't come here with the dogs. None of that's true. The cop looked at me and said, well, as far as I'm concerned, her word is God. And my response to that is what got me arrested. Now, one cop tells me, as far as I'm concerned, her word is God. My response was, well, that's pretty sad. I would think that someone in your position would at least be smart enough to understand that there's two sides to every story, and somewhere in between is the truth. And he didn't like that. So he figured out a way to put me in cuffs. With 4 other officers that show up on scene to testify that I did and said whatever they want. There was no point in fighting it. Now, I'm not getting into all that, not getting into the abuse that happened while I was in the holding cell. But what I will say is now you have one officer that literally went on word. As far as I'm concerned, her word is God. And I got arrested. Other officer telling me, well, if we didn't see it, we can't arrest anybody. Really, what it is this is Ridley Township. It is a very racist, hardcore, conservative, Republican, old money township that doesn't want black people here at all. Fact. That's why they weren't putting that white man in cuffs. Because had they done that, it would have been a problem. It would have caused a riot. It would have been the right thing to do, but it would have caused a riot. Because that would have been one up for the Black Lives Matter movement, and all those hateful people there, they wouldn't have been able to stand it. They would have snapped. And I can prove that without question. I'm standing there. I'm not really, they're all chanting. I didn't chant. I stood on the Black Lives Matter side. I would never stand on the other side, ever, under any circumstance. And I'm standing there, and right here, so you got the whole, line versus line with the cops in the middle. Like, that's really what's going on. But right next to us, across the line on Black Lives Matter side, you have this stomach out to here, horrible, horrible, horrible person saying the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. And it's mostly being ignored. And then, someone would engage, and I would be like, yo, don't engage them. Stay focused on the task at hand. That's somebody screaming for attention. Ignore it. So after I said that a couple times, he said something to me, and I just looked at him, and I was like, what, man? I was like, I'm not even paying attention to you because you don't really, I can't hear you. Like, you're not, nobody cares about what you have to say. And his first retort was, oh, well, if you want to just leave and go around back and we'll see what's up, blah, 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 blah. Literally, first retort was physical challenge. And me, normally, that's me punching you in the face. Like, that's where I come from. But me trying to be a different person these days, you know what I mean? So I looked at him, I'm like, dude, dude, you got the wrong dude. Oh, yeah, really? I said, yeah, really. I said, let me tell you something. I said, I ain't here for that, so you're not going to bait me into doing that, but you're really, really lucky that I'm not here for that. I said, because you're not in shape enough to handle someone like me in any way, shape, or form. And he just looked at me. And as soon as he got quiet, I was like, exactly. I was like, you're awfully quiet. And then he tried to I said, dude, don't get loud anymore. I said, I already have your heart. What? I said, I already have your heart. I said, I know you're scared. I can tell. I said, nobody here cares. Go over there and yell whatever you want. Get out of my ear. And that was that. But just cowardly act after cowardly act after cowardly act, just reiterating in my mind like what a racist person is really made of. Fear. They're made out of fear. Like, they come from fear. And that fear keeps them from being a real person and genuine. So therefore, everything done is disingenuine and often cowardly. Now that's all that stuff, right? Now I'm going to attack the hypervigilant white people on the Black Lives Matter side. Listen carefully. To the young man who thought he was being a hero and got this close to my face telling me, go back over to your side. Young white man. Younger, much younger than me. To you, my friend, and to anyone like you, listen carefully. Before you jump to any conclusion about who someone is and what they're there for, the best thing for you to do would be to ask questions. Because when someone crosses that line to talk to a police officer, to ask that police officer how come that man's not in cuffs for putting hands on that black man, that's a far, far, far cry from jumping sides. And when you don't know someone and you jump in front of their face like that, in a tense situation like that, you are the one that's going to cause things to go upside down, young man. Again, had this been 2-3 years ago, fat racist boy would have got knocked out where he was standing, and all hell would have broke loose. Hypervigilant, 110-pound wet, soaking wet, 20-year-old, I want to be a hero, white kid, you would be very hurt if I was still being me. And it's sad because we're supposed to be all on the same team. But you saw me go talk to a cop and you assumed that I was what, Antifa or some shit? Or is it my bald head and blue eyes and my beard that got you, oh, he's one of them guys? Isn't that kind of judgment the very thing you're fighting against? How can you change anything if you yourself have that judgment and hatred in you? We are very fucked. We are very, very fucked. Because even within inside these positive movements, it is a mess. And those type of things, those type of, I call them radicals, right? So like I said, the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole, peaceful. They just want to be heard. They just want black people to matter at an equal level as everyone else. They want everyone to matter at that level. But you have radicals in there. You have them in every party. They're everywhere. And those radicals are what destroy the message. It doesn't get heard. Because what always gets heard is shock and awe. That's what people are attracted to. Well, let's talk about the rioting and looting. What about the violence? What about the violence? What about the violence? Right? Now, again, young man, young hypervigilant white man, had I punched you in your mouth for suggesting that I was part of that racially cowardly, hateful scumbag clan, your opposition, had I punched you in your mouth the moment you got that close to me, for a few reasons, for being threatening, defensive, I don't know you, I don't know what you're doing. Had I punched you dead in your mouth and you dropped like the stone, because you would have, because I can drop a 110-pound dude with my left pinky probably, all hell would have broke loose. All hell would have broke loose. I would have got arrested. Other punches would have been thrown because it would have caused an explosion. And you, young man, would have destroyed the very thing you think you're there to be part of and help with. Heroism is a very, very bad thing. Trying to be a hero, that's not how it works. It's almost like trying to be cool. Cool people don't try to be cool. They try to be who they are, and that's really cool. Heroes don't try to be heroes. It's just in them, and they're just doing what they feel like they need to do. And they do heroic shit. Anyway, we're very fucked. We're very, very fucked. I think that no matter what come the election, I don't think it matters if Trump wins. Doesn't matter if he loses. Doesn't matter if something happens to make the election be put on hold. We go to war. Trump claims presidential power because we're in the middle of war. You can't de-seat a president. But whatever. I don't think it matters because I think there's too much polarization, too much extreme on this side and this side. If Trump doesn't win, I'm burning the country down. If Trump wins, I'm burning the country down. There's a lot of that on both sides. Too much. I don't see us making it through this peacefully. I feel a civil war coming. So my advice to you, if you do not want to be in the middle of a civil war, why take the chance? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right and you don't listen, you're fucked because you don't want to fight. So if you don't want to fight and you want to be part of it, I suggest you find places to run and hide. And I don't mean that like calling you a coward or anything. If you aren't ready to die, because it can happen, right? Like, think about it, okay? Let's hypothetically say I'm right? Hypothetically. Civil war breaks out. That means fighting. That means weapons, guns, shooting each other. Civil war. Cops versus whoever, black versus white, whatever. All hell could break loose, right? Military can come in. Who knows? You already got feds doing crazy unlawful shit. Who knows, right? But violent. Very violent. Just saw people in Portland get snatched off the street into unmarked vans. Seen a Navy veteran get beat just for standing there. If you're afraid of that, you don't want to be part of that, I don't knock you. But I'm telling you, if you don't want to be part of it, you really need to consider where to go. Middle of the woods, mountains, leave the country, whatever. If you have a little more rage in you and you're ready to throw down and you're tired of all this shit and you're like, let's get it over with, my advice to you is make sure you got your guns and ammo in order. Maybe some protective gear. I never thought, when I was young, my great uncle and great aunt raised me. Great aunt, great uncle. So I'm like 12 being raised by like 7-year-olds. My uncle, great uncle, I just called him my uncle, literally taught me everything about manhood there was. Greatest man in my eye. Anyway, he was a World War II tank commander. They know about the Great Depression and all that. Pardon me. And he used to tell me stories, war stories, depression stories, and even stories that he was told about, older wars, going into the Revolutionary War and Civil War, And I've read some stories, just things that happened during this time, just horrible, graphically violent shit. And in all my years of growing up, It was like I was shown this movie where it was like, oh, everything's good. It's all good. There's there's nothing bad going on. Life's great. You're safe. Nothing's gonna happen. You know? I had bad points in my life, of course. But as a child, I would have never thought, like, hey, when you're an adult, you're probably gonna get to see a war. Fucked. Very fucked. Very sad. What I just saw was, I don't even want to live here. I don't want to live here. I don't. I can't. I can't be around people like that. I can't. Like, if I saw any of those people in the street, I would never be able to look you in the face. If you tried to talk to me, it would be bad. I want to move to Iceland. That's what I want to do. I'm down to fight. If I can't move to Iceland, let's go. Let's get it popping. I'm down. Whatever. I'm not scared. I don't care. But if I had a choice, I would leave. But anyway, Ridley Township, Pennsylvania, one of the most racist places in the area, hands down.